That's too bright. Dim that down. Hey, good morning, guys. It's actually about 6 o'clock here in Alaska. I'm Big John. And before I started the carnivore diet, I was working at a large pharmaceutical company here in Alaska called Geneva Woods. And with that job, I was a go tech. I was a person that would show up at your house. I would deliver medication, set up hospice type situations, deliver concentrators, medical beds and stuff like that. And I was the guy that would train the people on how to use this type of stuff. And it was a very stressful job. I did that for about a period of a year. And throughout that year, working with hospice patients, I was also working with a lot of patients that had severe anxiety. And those were the patients I did the best with because I can kind of relate to them. And I found out through the process of going through all that I was an empath. And an empath is just somebody that's really empathetic, can basically feel, what other people are going through. So when they were having a hard time, it was very easy for me to relate and help with their social type issues wrapped around their experience of, either going through hospice care or whatever situation they had. I had a lot of patients that were morbidly obese. Some were just really high strung with high anxiety and stuff like that. But my issues have been going pretty much the majority of my life. I've been pretty recluse when it comes to social events and stuff like that. I've never really wanted to get out and do stuff until I started the carnivore diet. And that's why I'm out here talking about this stuff today, is because I believe, low carb diets like that, elimination diets, really do help the overall situation. I just want to wave hi to Sunshine, Alaska, Donna Couture. The reason I'm doing this live stream, this is a response to Donna, in fact, and several other viewers that have talked about, mental health type issues that they're going through. This has actually been a requested stream for the last couple of months. People have been sending me private emails and stuff wanting me to go over my own personal situation as to how these things start improving dramatically as we go. So I'm going to get right on into Donna's email here. She asked, on your next live stream, can we talk about the issues of not wanting to leave the house? And I'm going to answer these questions right as we go. So when the pandemic started, a lot of us were just uneasy, unaware. And the majority of people, I believe, in the United States and all around the world, we all suffered from some form of, social issue at that time. And it just kind of compounded over the period of the pandemic, going from you just didn't know what was happening to you need to stay in your house. You can't go out anywhere. You got to put on a mask, and all of that stuff created different levels of anxiety that we all had to deal with. Now, some of us dealt with it better than others. I was one of those that had to go to work no matter what. So being stuck at home wasn't an option. So, and there was a lot happening even in my line of work that was just driving me further down into a deeper hole. Not only that, I was morbidly obese at 435 pounds about 46 weeks ago. And since then, I've lost about 130 to 135 pounds. Now that is a major factor for getting back up on my feet and trying to actually, face these anxiety, depression type situations and fears. And with the carnivore diet, I've noticed these things dramatically change. I want to get outside my bubble. I want to do a lot of new things. I want to meet new people. I'm actually more socially active now than I've been throughout my entire weight loss journey of 46 weeks. So even halfway through my weight loss journey, I wasn't a carnivore at that time. I was still seriously carb addicted, sugar addicted. I was addicted to things like fruits and some specific types of vegetables and stuff like that. But overall, I've kind of weaned all of that away, and things have actually started to improve even more. So I've done things like go out and I got a pedicure. That was a huge thing. I really made my wife mad when I went out and got a pedicure. So at some point, me and her both need to go out and do that. But the main reason I did that was I was battling my own demons that day. I had to go out and do something that was well outside of my range, my spectrum, and I had to do it by myself. That was the hardest part, and the even harder part was, dealing with the backlash of, what I did. But now, if I wasn't to where I am right now, being able to actually deal with the anxiety, to deal with conflict, confrontation, stuff like that, it would have drove me down a deep, darker hole into a further depression. And the depression issue, that's a whole nother level. But I believe this social anxiety type situation, it started around my mid 30s or something like that, and it progressively, started to compound over the years, and it was a problem. And a lot of the problem was, I believe it was my diet. I was eating a lot of sugars, high fructose corn syrup, and stuff like that. It was just a compounding situation of that, and continuous bad health. I thought I was doing the right thing by eating, a lot of fruits, a lot of salads. I was going to the gym at times throughout my life, exercising, and it wasn't working that well. But to get further on in her email, you have mentioned this issue several times, and I think it would be helpful for others to explore this issue. That's what we're here doing today. When did this issue first present itself? Like I said, around mid 30s or so was when everything started, but everything got compounding and difficult, especially around when the pandemic started and everything was just uncertain. We didn't know what direction we were headed. Let's see. After you put on all your weight, or has this been an issue all along? Well, some of it has been an issue all along, and I think a lot of us suffer from different types of anxiety, different types of depression. We got breakups, we got family situations and stuff like that impact everything. But since I started doing the carnivore diet, everything has been much easier to manage. Let's see, what else do we got here? Are you afraid to leave the house because you fear what reactions people will have if they see you? Not necessarily the fear that they'll have when they see me. Now, she does mention agoraphobia as one of the possible issues. Now, I do suffer from that. Like I said, 46 weeks ago, I was much bigger than this. My head was huge. My neck was fat, and I was in horrible health. I was declining rapidly fast. It was getting kind of scary. So, with that said, when I look at myself in the mirror, I don't see this guy right here. I don't see that. I don't see, the person that's sitting on the other side of the camera. So when I'm looking at myself on the camera, I feel like I'm looking at a stranger, not necessarily somebody I recognize. And I noticed something similar to this that happened when I was in the military, going through basic training. Now, when everybody gets into basic training, we're in pretty good shape, but we're not in the best of shape. But when you get out of basic training, it changes your facial features, and you actually start looking at yourself in the mirror first thing in the morning. And you're just like, who is that? You can't recognize yourself, compared to 8 weeks ago, at the start of basic training. And that's where a lot of the agoraphobia type situations started for me, was around basic training. And that was in my early 20s. Let's see. Now, the weight did have a factor, because I didn't want to leave the house because it hurt. Everything hurt. So I was constantly making excuses not to go anywhere, do anything family related. I was also suffering from sleep apnea. That was another issue. So I didn't want to go visit anybody or stay anywhere. And since then, my sleep apnea has improved with weight loss. So now I could actually go do these things. I can go on camping trips. I can go, spend the night at people's relatives' houses out in Wasilla. And that's a huge impact. And now all of this started happening about 20 weeks into my weight loss journey, where I started experimenting with carnivore eating principles and practices. And I was also doing different types of fasting to lose weight and hopefully just stick around 300 pounds and maintain that. So that's everything here has been incredibly powerful, I believe. Let's see, what else do we got here? Are you afraid to leave the house? Do you think it boils down to agoraphobia? We covered that. Being afraid of being in public, fear of something bad happening. Now, there's another one. I'm always the guy that's kind of safety oriented. I've always been that way. So if we're ever going to go out and do something, I typically plan for the worst and hope for the best type situation. And it it kind of bugs people at times. It bugs family members and stuff like that. Because if we go on a fishing trip, I'm worried about stuff like wild animals around my children. Bear attacks happen here in Alaska. They happen right here in the city. We have bears that wander through this neighborhood from time to time. We also have moose. So I worry about that. Now, is it something that I should have to worry about 24/7? No, I shouldn't. Should I be able to go outside the house and go for walks without worrying, am I going to get hit by a car? Am I going to get robbed? And getting robbed here in Alaska, really, it doesn't happen as often as one would think. You have to kind of go looking for that type of trouble here. I think getting stomped by a moose or, accidentally mauled by a bear, you have a much higher chance of that, even living in the big city. But like I said, you got to go looking for that particular type situation. Let's see, what else do we have? Let's see, are you afraid of falling? Okay, so I do have an issue. It's basic neuropathy. I'm about the first 2 inches of my feet from my toes to the ball of my foot. I do have some slight numbness, which has been improving. And that's also been an excuse why not to do things or go for long walks and stuff like that. So since I started the carnivore diet, I've started to reduce the inflammation in my feet, which allows me to, move more, get out and do stuff. And this week has been tremendous for getting out and moving more. I have, wanted to just up and go for a walk. I went for about 2 to 3 mile walk the other day, all by myself. And it's not easy this time of year because the snow and ice is melting. There's a lot of puddles, and the type of sneakers I'm wearing, they aren't the best for walking around through that type of stuff, but I did manage quite well. And I was pretty happy with myself. And there's been several other times, like yesterday, I just up and, told the wife, I said, get in the car, let's go. We're going to go run some errands, and then we're going to go to the mall, and we're just going to walk basically every floor in the entire mall. And we did that. And it was great. I think we got in about over 3,000 something steps, which is, short of the 6,000 goal, but it got me out in public. It got me out doing things. And that's been a hard thing to actually overcome, is just being able to get out and randomly do stuff. Because normally when you have a lot of depression, you have a lot of anxiety, you kind of self-isolate. You just want to sit at home. You don't want to go anywhere. You're just used to your safe space now, and you're just sick and tired of other people. So, and that's just another aspect. But all right, Donna says, awesome job on getting out for a walk. KetoVore Journey. Hey, how you doing? Greetings from Croatia. Right on, Croatia. That's amazing. Sunshine, Alaska said, I had told my husband he needs to get a pedicure too. Where did you go? He needs a place where they are okay with men going. There's actually a lot of places here in Anchorage that are okay with men going. I think almost every single place. The place I went to was Jolie's nail salon, and it was on Lake Otis, over by Diamond. It's located like pretty close to the McDonald's and Taco Bell and Subway on Lake Otis. I was very pleased with their service, and they took care of a lot of issues I didn't even know I had. But it was a big step. It was something I've never done before, and being able to do something like that, and being confident and feeling like, okay, I can actually accomplish this for a change, because it's totally out of my spectrum. I'm a truck driver. You don't hear about truck drivers going to truck stops and getting a pedicure, or taking care of their feet. What you do hear about is truck drivers being overweight, unhealthy, and having horrible feet. And they typically don't smell that great because they're stuck inside a truck. And that's just, part of the job. And it was hard to maintain my health when I was an over-the-road truck driver in the lower 48. I tried. I even said when I got started that I wasn't going to be that fat guy, where the belly touches the steering wheel and you start wearing a hole in your shirt from the steering wheel rubbing. I was trying real hard not to be that guy. And a lot of times I saw other guys out in the parking lot, and they were exercising, which is a big step for them. But then I'm watching them do sprints and running back and forth, and they step in a pothole, and now this guy needs an ambulance, and his knee's messed up. So that further drives your anxiety to like, oh, I don't want to do that. And another issue was when I was driving down south, I was in Florida, and Florida is a wonderful place, especially for going for walks. So I left the truck stop, and I was just walking around the block, and I crossed right in front of this chain link fence, and it was an industrial type area, which is where most truck stops are. And then there was these dogs that just came running out to the gate. And then all of a sudden the dogs could crawl under the gate, and I'm not in the best of shape, but I'm not horrible at that time. And now I'm running down the street because these dang dogs, they look like Dobermans or some sort of breed like that. So I'm running away from these dogs. And I was just thankful, to get away from these dogs without an incident, because there was nobody around. It's the weekend. Everything's dead in these industrial areas. And I believe it was a Sunday and I was on a layover. So, go for a walk. But when you're in one of these environments outside of your element, you're out of town and you're going for a walk, you don't know what to expect when you leave the confines of something somewhat safe like a truck stop. And that was just one of the many situations I had over the years that just deterred me from wanting to go do stuff. So, yeah, it was just one thing after another. Let's see. Donna says, I can relate big time to everything you were discussing here. My husband is also a truck driver. He drives a Mack dump truck, and he also didn't have a choice when the COVID thing came around. He had to work. Yeah, there was a lot of us that we had to work. And with all the uncertainty and stuff like that, I was working for a big trucking company, and my job was moving trailers around, the post office grounds. Now, the people inside were so paranoid. I was basically a prisoner. I was there for 12 hours a day, but they did not want me going inside. They did not want me using the restrooms inside the post office. So I had to go either out in the parking lot, to relieve myself, or if I had to go number 2, I had to drive all the way back to our terminal, which is a couple miles away, which isn't a super huge deal because I had time to go back and forth, but it's like, wow, really, so I felt like I was just being treated unfairly while I was working there. And, they had big signs up on the wall saying nobody can go past a certain point. You're not allowed back here. Everybody was required to wear a mask, even though the majority of the postal employees refused to wear masks. But yeah, it was just a big storm of nonsense, and nobody knew what exactly was going on. Now, throughout the process of working for Geneva Woods, I had a better understanding of mental illness at that time, and I was also constantly being educated on mental illness, anxiety, depression, bipolar disorder, and stuff like that, because we had a lot of patients that had all 3 of them at times, and it was pretty hard to deal with. And it just, after you start working around these people for a long time, it's really hard not to pick up some of the traits. So just being socially interactive in that type of situation, especially as an empath, you tend to absorb, some of the energy from these people and take it home. And that creates an issue as well. But the nice part about it is, since I've been, working with the carnivore diet for, I believe it's been around 20 weeks now, maybe more, 26 weeks, all of this has improved. It's gotten better. I'm able to communicate now. Before I couldn't do a live stream. There was no way I could get out here and do a live stream and have any type of intelligent type of conversation. It would just be nonstop awkward pauses, ums and uhs all the time. And that's just a total normal conversation. But I would totally lose my train of thought. I wouldn't even be on the plane. I'd go off in the left field and just start talking about freaking rocks or something. I mean, I don't know, but all right, let's check out these. Donna says, I can relate big time. All right. Donna also says, oh yeah, my husband absolutely refused to be afraid, and he ran into people were out of their minds with fear. That was a problem. I mean, so like there's 2 sides to that aspect, especially when the pandemic was going on. You had those that didn't have any fear, or at least claimed they didn't have any fear, and they were just hoping that nothing bad happened to them, because I know some people that had no fear, and they just ran around like everything was fine, and they're not with us anymore, because they got the virus and passed away. And it was a random thing. And a lot of us know somebody, that passed away from COVID. So that also helped create more anxiety. And now the hospitals are ramping it up again. They're all starting to put, masks on. They're offering masks at the door. our local hospitals here, they're giving away free COVID testing and stuff like that. And that's, we have a whole stockpile of these at-home COVID tests, and we haven't used them. Um, I haven't even worried about it because since starting the carnivore diet, every sickness that's come through the house that I've gotten, I've been able to deal with. I've been able to work through it, which is huge, because before, when I was morbidly obese, I couldn't work through these situations. I'd be down for a minimum of 3 days at a time. I'd be knocked down flat on my butt. I'd be laying in bed with the man flu, and you all know what the man flu is because we become big babies as soon as we start getting sick. But since I started the carnivore diet and I started losing all the weight, whenever I do get sick, it's so minor now. And it's a great way to improve your immune system and boost your metabolism, and everything just seems to start working correctly the way it did when we were younger, like around 15 to 20 years old. When we used to get sick back then, we'd still get sick, but we weren't sick like we are today. As soon as you get morbidly obese, you get seriously sugar and carb addicted, you get knocked down with a sickness. I mean, that could potentially take you out altogether. That's just how the situation rolls. And I believe that's why, the majority of people that had problems in the United States were having such a hard time when they did get COVID and stuff like that, because all that extra sugar, all the extra carbs, overly processed foods and stuff like that was affecting everybody in a negative way. And since we were all contained in the house and worried about our next shopping trip, we were ordering a lot of overly processed foods, to stock up in our pantry. And many of us, like myself, we were eating the food that was in our pantry. We weren't going out on the daily shopping trips to buy whole foods, to buy vegetables, to buy meats and stuff like that, and just focusing on the whole foods. We were eating a whole conglomeration of compounding issues that just created the perfect storm for when we got sick or getting something like COVID, for instance, and it just made everything just so much worse. It was just crazy. How many of those new who got the vaccines passed away? I'm just going to put it out there, mainly because I went out and got the vaccine. I got 2 of them. I never did go get boosted. I refused to go get boosted. My main reasons behind getting the vaccine is because I thought at that time everything was going to be somewhat forced. I was like, all right, well, whatever, I'll go out and get it. And that way we'll just roll from there. We'll see, what happens. I'll be the guinea pig of the family. Then my wife decided she wanted to get hers. And my son also decided he wanted to get his. Now we flat out refused to let our daughters get it because they're both under the age of 10 years old. So we're like, if there's any issues with fertility or something like that might come down the line, we don't want them to have that taken away from them, when they get older, because if they want to have children, then by all means have children at the right age. But yeah, we don't want to ruin their options so early on. Let's see, not a whole lot going on in the comments there, but yes, overall, the carnivore diet has been incredibly powerful. Low carb diet in general has been incredibly powerful for boosting my ability to deal with any of the overlapping anxiety from my previous employment up to the pandemic up to now. And it actually gets me out here in a way where I can confidently just come on and have a conversation about things like these and not sound like a bumbling idiot on the other side of the mic. Like I say, may God protect you, John. I appreciate you, Donna. And this is going to be a pretty slow stream. So it's early in the morning here in Alaska. I do have to film my video for the day for my weekly update. Now, if anybody's interested in that, please come and check out the channel here. Big Man Alaska. I'm Big John. What I talk about mainly is carnivore topics, how they're affecting me from my own personal experience. And I do weekly updates, and I try to keep everybody that comments coming in or out, sends me emails. I try to connect with everybody that has an issue. And there's been a lot of people contacting me lately, saying that they're having a hard time. They're finding my videos inspirational and stuff like that. And I hope to keep providing, my own experience type information in a way that it helps these people out in a major, major way. But I'm going to be cutting this live stream here early. I didn't want to make this too incredibly long, but I did want to answer all of Donna's questions and everything. I'm going to look this over. Okay, let's get back to she was talking about, am I afraid of falling due to my feet? Now, like I said, I have basic neuropathy. I do have some circulation issues going on in my hands right now, so my hands get incredibly cold when it's cold out. But summertime's coming. I'm going to start getting out, moving more, lifting some more weights. Hopefully, that'll help increase the blood flow to my fingertips. The extra walking and this new vibration plate that I bought seems to be helping my neuropathy. That way, I can actually bend my toes and start spreading them out. But I have found out that the majority of nerve damage, like neuropathy, is reversible type stuff. It just takes a lot of time, and you have to just keep on it every single day and get on with it. But do your calves get cold? No, my calves do not get cold, Donna. My feet don't even get cold anymore. That changed pretty much immediately after I started losing the water weight and I got the edema under control. So that was a big help, a big deciding factor to want to keep going, because once I started doing that serious fasting and stuff like that, and a lot of the water weight started getting under control, it just pushed me forward to want to lose more weight, to want to, continue, because the pain was going away. Now, I had pain the entire time right up until I started working with KetoVore. Now, KetoVore is basic keto eating principles with the majority of carnivore type eating. And the majority of carnivore type eating helps control the inflammation, but it was triggering a lot of carb type cravings, sugar cravings, unnecessary fruit type cravings. And I'm a binge eater. So when I binge eat fruits, it just throws everything all out of whack. It takes me out of ketosis. It's kind of counterproductive for the whole process. And this is why, I'm doing the carnivore diet, is because I can eat, when I'm on my eating windows, I can eat a lot of meat, and it's not really wrecking it. I'm not gaining the weight back, but I'm fully satiated. And in the meantime, I'm gaining, mental clarity, some better vision. My hearing's improved. My skin looks much better now. And I'm sorry, the image quality on this stream is just off of, the camera off my computer. It's not the best, but it is what we have to work with. Although my neuropathy has, let's see. Donna says mine do, and they can be 10 degrees less than my body temperature. It's so uncomfortable. Now, she's talking about her cold feet, as she has neuropathy in her feet. Although my neuropathy has massively improved. That's good news, Donna, that your neuropathy has improved. And I think if you might have some type of edema or something like that, some water retention in the legs. And I think a lot of that, my neuropathy came from eating inflammatory type foods. So I was packing on water weight in my legs, and it was just another compounding issue from all the carbs and sugars we had. So since I've been, fasting, I've been really strict with carnivore type eating. A lot of that numbness and possible nerve damage type situation has improved, because, being 435 pounds and just walking around and doing, anything, you're putting a lot of weight on your feet. You're damaging the nerves. You're damaging pretty much everything in your legs. I was looking over my legs yesterday. I'm surprised I don't have like a ton of varicose veins or anything like that, because when you get all that water built up in your feet, it gets horribly painful, and it's hard to do things. It's hard to get motivated. It's hard to get out, and then that creates more anxiety, more depression, and it creates more excuses than anything. And the excuses just kept coming. So once I got my sugar cravings and carb addiction somewhat under control, that's when things really started changing, and it got me ramped up and motivated to keep going with the carnivore diet. Going on, let's see, KetoVore Journey. Going on KetoVore diet helped me to stop smoking. That's awesome. Now, I have completely kicked out the cigarettes. That's good news. I do still vape once in a while. I mean, I'm going to take the lesser of the two. The only reason I use products like this is to keep everybody else around me safer, because when I'm not using any type of nicotine, I tend to lash out. I become, extremely emotional. So that just helps. And it also helps me focus. And that's another reason why I use nicotine products. And I'm not promoting them as a good idea, but these are I do believe they're a better option than smoking traditional tobacco type cigarettes or chewing tobacco. And since the Zen pouches came out, those are up in the air to me. I'm not sure if those are such a great thing, but I see some people using those to help them just get off the traditional tobacco and quit smoking themselves. So that's not too bad. KetoVore Journey. Let's see, going KetoVore diet. Yep. Carnivore Stork. Hey there. I appreciate you jumping in here, Carnivore Stork. Try a couple drops of iodine a week. Now, I haven't researched much about iodine yet. Now, I do see that coming out here and a lot more discussion happening around iodine type health benefits. I haven't really explored it yet. I don't know much about it. So if somebody wants to send me, an email about that, I'll be happy to take a look to see what you guys have. But I can, when I have time, I can try to, research that myself throughout the week. And I'll definitely check that out. Now, like I say, this weight loss journey and dealing with my anxiety, depression, my carnivore journey and stuff like that, none of this would have been possible without the community, because the community is what kept me going. Having a YouTube channel, sharing my embarrassing videos, and I can look back at them now. So I have a whole video dialogue of when I got started from every single week of this weight loss journey. I've uploaded some sort of video or done at least a live stream just to try to, keep those that are just wanting to know what's going on with me informed. So it's been incredibly helpful just having the channel itself, just so I can help explain what's going on with me. Now, I don't try to come out here and say like, hey, this is what you need to do to make such and such happen. But just trying to eliminate the carbs and the sugars is the best start. Learning how to fast was where I really got a kickstart. Is that I spent a lot of time researching fasting. I did fasting. I did my first 5-day water fast, dropped 30 pounds almost instantly. And if that didn't happen, and this community wasn't here to help hold me up, because I had many bad weeks throughout my weight loss journey that put me in a roller coaster situation of depression, where I was just up and down, because when you have a lot of traumatic weight loss and you're out here making YouTube videos, you're trying to, motivate yourself to keep on going. You're also trying to, show people the journey. But what I didn't realize is part of the journey is you're going to have weight loss stalls. You're going to have frustrating times. You're going to have, different situations, different stressors and stuff like that affect your weight loss. So that'll just stop it. That'll stop everything from working that week. And then I was doing crazy things, like not necessarily crazy. They were good for my health. But when you're focused on weight loss, these things stall the weight loss. Working with exercise, different exercises can stall your weight loss as well. Different eating can stall your weight loss. Stress in your social environment can completely hamper all your weight loss for the week. And weight is simply liquid. That's all it is. It's just a measurement of your body weight and whatever you ate or drank for the day. And the majority of it is all liquid. It doesn't tell you anything about your health. Now, you can be like I am right now. I'm 300 pounds and I'm considered really, really healthy for my age and size and weight. I mean, that's great. But the thing is we can't focus too much on the scale. We need to focus on what we're putting in our bodies every day, and don't get so discouraged by these numbers and the scales and different social events that are happening around you, and just completely wreck it. Now, when we were kids, we used to eat a pretty healthy type diet. Our foods were different when we were younger, in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And that's in the 90s is where everything changed. Everything became super polluted. With being overly processed, a whole bunch of inflammatory seed oils and just stuff that we couldn't even pronounce were being added into the ingredient list of just about everything we were eating. The fast food was healthier before 1990. That's just baffling to me. Let's see. What's going on, guys? Donna, let's see. I look at the community as the equivalent of AA meetings. We all need support and reinforcement. Absolutely, Donna. And this is another reason why I stick around this community, because I've been involved with a lot of weight loss communities. I've had a lot of personal trainers over the years. I've been to gyms. I've joined different clubs and stuff like that to try to get control of my weight. Now, as an over-the-road truck driver, that's a lot harder to do. And, with the dawn of Facebook, that it helped a little bit, but there's a lot of confusion on Facebook. There's a lot of confusion all over the internet now because it was so hard for me getting started because all the sugar and stuff I was addicted to was making everything in my brain really, really hard to understand. So I'd find out all this information and then I'd be like, oh, yeah, this is a great idea. I'm going to listen to this guy. And then all of a sudden I'd find this other guy over here and he would polar opposite of what this guy was talking about. And that just happened over and over and over again for about the first 20 weeks of my weight loss. So I was like, man, I got to find something that's going to work for me because all these guys here and there, they say this works. And every time I'm thinking I'm eating something healthier, here comes another video saying, oh, don't eat this because for this reason, or don't eat that because of this reason, or this will give you cancer, this will give you diabetes. Seriously? I mean, there's even videos out there that talk about how water is unhealthy for you, like how you drink your water, where you drink your water, the temperature of your water. All that's doing is creating paranoia, creating anxiety, creating angst around something that, stop it. It's like, wow, it's great for views. It's great for them to make money, but it's not helpful for those people trying to figure out their own selves. And when they can't comprehend, which is what happened with me, is I was having a hard time comprehending. And even since I was a little kid, I had a hard time with comprehension. If you gave me like a word problem, I would have a hard time, figuring out a word problem if it was a mathematic problem. Just give me the freaking numbers and I'll figure out the equation from there. Don't give me these word problems. Why make stuff harder than it needs to be? Let's see. Donna jumped in here, says, John, you are right about the stress. My blood glucose would go up more. When I was stressed, I was using a Libre 2 CGM monitor in the skin, and I would see how stress drove my glucose up. Yeah, stress is a driver. Stress also releases cortisol. Cortisol slows us down. It depends on what your main goal is for the day, if it's weight loss or just simply getting in better health, because sometimes just getting in better health comes with some weight gain, and that needs to be expected. Now, before I started my week-long fasting, the last 2 times around, I was doing a series of carnivore priming. And that's just 2 to 3 meals a day, carnivore type eating until I'm fully satiated or my food just starts to, the next bite's not going to taste so good. So I stop at that point. Just listening to my hunger signals now is something I couldn't do when eating the traditional way. When I was eating, let's say a pizza, traditional pizza that we would get, I would never get that. I'd get full, but I would never get that signal to say, you need to stop eating. I know it tastes good when it goes in your mouth, but there was never, 2 and 2 never met. So I never got an equation of 4. So I just kept eating pizza because my taste buds said, I just want to feel that dopamine rush as I put this on my tongue, or I want this fast food, not because I'm hungry, but just because I want that sensation in my mouth. And, once you digest it and it's all said and done, it's just packed on in like 20 different ways, and it's affecting all our organs in different ways. So if we can just try to curb down all the nonsense, everybody will be much better off. And also, I was asked this question yesterday. It was put out in a community post. If everybody thought that, carnivore can cure mental illness. Well, mental illness is a very broad spectrum. So, the top 3, I think, on mental illness is anxiety, depression, and bipolar disorder. Now, I do believe carnivore can help all 3 of those in some way. Can it cure it? I don't know. That's, like I said, it's debatable. And then you have other mental illness like schizophrenia and stuff like that, which is just, I don't know if carnivore is going to help that or not. I don't believe it's going to cure that because that's just like a miswiring in the brain for some people. But, when it comes to like anxiety and depression, I believe, yeah, it works. Carnivore does help, just low carb in general, whole foods, all of that will help because you don't have all the conflicting stuff going on inside your body to stress it out, by eating the overly processed foods. Now, I was looking into an additional video here just the other day, and they were talking about how the American diet consists of over 60% overly processed foods. That's huge. That's a huge number when you're talking about this massive population we have here in the United States. And 60% of the calorie intake in the United States is overly processed food, which is just outrageous. It's like, why is it so high? The education's out there, but it's also my opinion that without a diagnosis, people don't understand. When I was younger, I didn't care about guys like me coming up and saying, hey, you might want to watch this or that. I didn't care. And you couldn't get through to me no matter what, because I was young, I was in shape, I was doing what I wanted to do. I was drinking, I was eating, I was, just living life, going out, getting drunk, having fun at parties, drinking nonstop Red Bulls and Jägermeisters, Jaeger bombs, drinking other sugary mixed drinks, just to keep energized while driving the truck, potentially driving up my potential, diabetic situation. And I don't know how magically I never became a diabetic. I was never diagnosed with diabetes. My blood sugar has never put me anywhere close to the range of diabetes. I did have really borderline high blood pressure there that almost took away my ability to, hold a medical card. That's crazy. So, all right, let's see what we got here. Donna, the machine also kills bacteria with UV light built into it. I don't know where you guys left off. Oh, okay. Donna Cortor, our town notified us that we have PAS chemicals in our town well water. That's horrible. Okay, so we have to filter on our fridge and we fill up a jug and then pour it into our water drop reverse osmosis machine. Oof. Yeah, that stinks. I mean, I would not live in a place that had potentially contaminated water for too long, because you got to shower, you got to wash your dishes. If your hands come in contact with that water, our skin absorbs whatever it is. That's, back in the day, I don't know how many people are old enough to remember this, but there used to be these things that we used to wear on our hands, our hand shoes that we would use for washing dishes. And the reason we had the hand shoes was so that we didn't absorb the chemicals from the soaps. Now, a lot of these dish soaps have harsh chemicals in it. Some of them, like Dawn dish soap, has something that's called like Corexant, which kind of disperses oil and stuff like that, which makes Dawn super powerful for degreasing. And it's just amazing. I believe Simple Green might also contain that, but it's not something you want soaking on your skin, because when you get a product like Dawn dish soap or even Simple Green directly on your skin, and everybody's done this. If you're a mechanic, you probably use Simple Green or Dawn straight on your hands. But if you're working with, potential hazardous materials, like even used motor oil, and you're just trying to wash the used motor oil off in the grease, you're actually absorbing some of that into your skin. And that's carcinogenic, by the way, similar to food colorings that are being added into everybody's food these days. It's carcinogenic type stuff. And we're trying to slowly avoid these things as we go. So learning how to read ingredients, flipping around the package and understanding it is super, super important. Let's see, Valerie Smith's testimony on mental illness and her carnivore cure is mind-blowing. I'll have to check out Valerie Smith and see how that is. The machine, all right. So that's all we're caught up on. Let's see, Cordella, good morning from Albany, New York. Hey, good morning, Cordella. Yeah, we're just talking about the benefits of, not necessarily the overall benefits of my experience with the carnivore diet and how it's improving my mental health, mental clarity. It improves my ability to speak, communicate with others, respond to others, because I could never do this before. There would have been no way. I used to spend hours upon hours just trying to create what should be a simple video. And sometimes it would take me over 7 days to create a halfway decent video that didn't even perform well. But I mean, it's just weird how all of this works. Let's see. 40 years of mental illness reversed on the carnivore diet, Dr. Sean Baker and Valerie. Okay, I have Sean Baker in my queue, and I'll definitely check that out. I do like his stuff, and he goes over a lot of things that I can relate to, mainly because I've been experiencing it. And that's the hardest part about figuring out all of this carnivore type stuff, because before I actually dove into carnivore, I didn't know if all this stuff, all this talk, all these benefits was just straight up freaking voodoo. Because a lot of us have tried so many different things. We tried vegans, the vegan diet. We tried being a vegetarian. We tried losing weight just by eating salads and doing more exercise, and then we always rebound, and then we might lose a lot of weight, and then we're back up, and we couldn't find that sustainable balance. So I don't care what way anybody eats, as long as they're getting healthy and they find a sustainable type way of eating to maintain, within a 15 to 20 pound area. That's normal life. That's normal living. I mean, you don't have to be down at your ultimate BMI on the body mass index chart. You just need to be a decent healthy to hopefully live a better life, communicate better, understand people better. Because when you're morbidly obese and you're listening to stuff like this, it's just like, whatever. I don't know. People, I was that guy. I would listen to people that talk like this, and then I just swipe away. I'd be like, all right, I'm done. And I go back to the kitchen and I'd eat whatever I wanted. I'd order a pizza, I'd go to Taco Bell, go to McDonald's. It would just mess up everything. So until I started getting a diagnosis of being morbidly obese, and where it really started, where I got my first diagnosis that impacted me pretty hard, was when I got diagnosed with sleep apnea. So I think I was right around 389 pounds to, right in that range, between 389 and 400 pounds when I was diagnosed with severe sleep apnea, which was high on the chart for apnea events. And then I looked at my paperwork, and it said morbidly obese on the paperwork, and it hit me. And and it didn't help. It was the turning point of a lot of things right there. So I started becoming depressed because of what it said on that document right there, morbidly obese. That was all I thought about for 6 months to a year. And then some other social family type events happened. We lost a family member. That crushed me. I lost a job. That crushed me as well. I was having a hard time all around. And even when I got my CPAP device, I thought, oh, great, I'm getting a CPAP now. I'm going to, be more rested. I'm going to be in a better mood. I'm going to lose weight because now I have a CPAP and I can breathe and I don't have to worry about dying in my sleep. That was all positive, but it wasn't the cure. The cure was fixing what I was putting in my body. I mean, if I didn't focus on what I was putting in my body, I was still doing all the nonsense type stuff. So I would use the CPAP for a while. Things improved dramatically. My energy levels improved. I was definitely getting more sleep, better sleep, even though it was like wrestling a grizzly bear at night, just trying to deal with the CPAP and trying to figure out how to make it work for me, which was extremely hard. And then I started gaining weight. The weight started coming on. And then I started getting depressed, and the weight started coming on some more. And then the pandemic happened. I started gaining more weight. It just got worse and worse and worse as it went. And then we had a family death, and everything got worse than that. And then I was just fed up. That's when I started researching fasting and stuff. The CPAP wasn't the answer. It was helpful. Losing the weight helped eliminate the CPAP from my life and stuff like that. So I did apply for a job, a trucking job with a large company, and I was turned down. I almost laughed at it. Now, before I would have been crushed, because I was like, great. I was looking forward to making money. This is Alaska. This time of year, we don't do a whole lot of work. So this is March. And there's not a whole lot of work going on. Road restrictions are coming on, so we can't haul full loads on many of the roads. So the gravel slowed down. There's no snow falling from the sky, so we got no snow to haul. The freight slows down this time of year as well. So there's options out there, but there's not a lot of good options. And I was looking forward to working for this company. And, they said, yeah, go ahead and apply. And I told them, in the notes, that I resolved my sleep apnea. I don't require a CPAP anymore, but I still use it just for my own comfort. And they turned around and turned me down for the job because I use a CPAP device, and I, figured out my own. So now I'm healthy, and you're telling me I can't come to work with you. And their excuse was I shouldn't have been issued a medical card because it's a 2-year medical card. I should have been issued a 1-year medical card. Well, I already resolved my weight issues. My neck circumference was under the limitation for requiring a CPAP. And yeah, I couldn't make any sense of it. So I kind of laughed about it. But a situation like that before, when I was really heavy and looking forward to something like, yeah, I'm going to start making some decent paychecks soon and we're going to be able to buy this or that. Losing that opportunity would have crushed me. I just laughed about it. I was like, my wife was looking at me like, did that really just happen? I was like, yeah, I don't care. I was like, I just don't care. It's like, I got so many other things going on now with weight loss. And the carnivore diet's been opening up new windows. YouTube's been opening up many options. So we're just going to keep going with what works and what's good for me. And if I'm able to communicate just because I'm eating meats and fats, all right. Yeah, that's awesome. Now, if I were to go back to eating the traditional diet, yeah, everything would go right back. I could reverse all of this. I believe in about 2 to 3 months, I could probably, eclipse whatever weight I had previously pretty quickly. If I were just to say, I'm done, I'm not doing this anymore, I'm fed up. Because when we start these things, it's a lifestyle change, and you got to focus on the lifestyle change itself. And take a look in here, see what's going on. Good morning. Let's see, Rob Connors. Hey, good morning there. Just want to wave hi to Rob from the Catskill Mountains of New York. Thank you. Appreciate you joining. Cordelia, I think our nervous system is healed and we can really go forth with clear thinking and less nervousness. Absolutely. Just cognitive ability improves dramatically once you just kick out all the carbs and all the sugars. It's funny. I can watch people in my life, go from, dabbling with the carnivore diet and then not really doing it. So when they're dabbling with it and they're pretty strict for a little while, I can see them like a laser, like I'm focusing on them for a while. And I notice their cognitive ability improves. They have less just awkward long pauses when they talk. They're able to just rifle off the information like that. That's a huge improvement. Unfortunately, they don't recognize it, even if it's pointed out, because they're not there yet. They haven't gotten to that point to be able to recognize it. Because I remember when I was starting to regain cognitive ability, I really wasn't seeing it. I wasn't noticing it until I went back and I started looking at some of my older content. And I was just like, was that it? Was that when that happened? Because I was talking there. I wasn't. Because normally when I first started my videos, I had a lot of overly edited videos. I would talk one sentence at a time. And I had this weird little technique that just seemed to work for me, which is I'd talk one sentence at a time. I would pick up my camera, move it over here. I would talk another sentence. If I would screw up the sentence, I would just repeat that sentence, in the same tone of voice until I got it right. And then I would just move the camera around, just give different camera angles of the room. Now, this is a technique I still use today. But I'm able to actually string together sentences now where I couldn't string them together when I first got started on YouTube. It was impossible. So, just moving the camera around and understanding, how all that worked was really powerful and really helpful just to be able to make videos and actually get through the process of sharing my weight loss journey in general. Let's see. Donna says, I got up to 286 pounds at the end of 2016. Then I started losing weight without trying. I got down to 135 pounds and I looked like I was 15 years older. At this point, I went to the doctor. That's an interesting one. Let's see. I had nerve pain, lower back pain in such a degree that I couldn't put any pressure on my back because it would send shooting pains all throughout my body. Now that's something that improved dramatically for me. Is my lower back pain is gone. I would never be able to sit in this chair right here for this amount of time. I would have to get up. We've been in this stream for about an hour now. I would have had to have gotten up, moved to a different location, walked around a little bit. Typically I would sit down for a while. My back would start to hurt and I would go back to bed and I would take a nap. Again, further isolating myself, further depression, further anxiety, stuff like that, further excuses not to do anything or get out and exercise. Yeah, it's all connected and it all improves. It all improves pretty quickly. Let's see. Uh, bulging discs and arthritis and lumbar. Ooh, that sounds horribly painful, Donna. Seriously depressed because I couldn't even sleep. Yeah, that was another problem. Is that it hurt for me to lay in bed. So if I was laying in bed for too long, being that heavy, I'm crushing my bed, by the way. I'm just deforming the mattress. I ruined some mattresses. My head was so heavy, I was destroying pillows. And it was just nonstop all the time. Everything was just getting worse. And yeah, I'd wake up with my back was hurting, my hips would start hurting. And then I get up and I would sit at my kitchen table doing what I usually do. And everything would start hurting there. And it'd be just back and forth, round and round, round and round. And every time when I had sleep apnea, it was even worse than that because I was up and down all night long. Every 45 minutes, I was having to get up because of my sleep apnea before it got diagnosed. Let's see. Donna's also saying it's been hell. Believe me, but carnivore has helped me handle it all. Amen. A lot of the nerve pain is gone, but I still have chronic lower back pain, which sucks. Yeah, that does suck having. Okay. I am not sure what that's all about. Ooh, yeah, chronic back pain. That's a hard one. I mean, because if the carnivore diet hasn't already improved, I mean, there's other underlying issues there because it does improve a lot. It improved all of my neck pain because the inflammation in my head, the swelling in my head, which was also keeping me from discussing and having conversations and being like a normal human being. My head was so swollen and full of so much water and excess fat on my face that I was actually damaging my neck. So I was always having problems when driving the truck. My neck would turn a certain way and it was like a disc slipped and it would hurt for like sometimes a month or two. And it was horribly frustrating. I don't have that anymore. And that's fantastic. I mean, I can turn and look over my shoulders now. Range of motion improves dramatically, with just simple weight loss and just getting rid of the inflammation type foods that we eat. Let's see. I have to sleep on my stomach with a pillow under my hips. Otherwise I can't sleep. Well, that's awesome being able to sleep on your stomach. I'm still unable to sleep on my stomach. It feels good to sleep on my stomach. Now, before, if I tried to sleep on my stomach, I couldn't sleep. I couldn't breathe because I had so much going on up here that it was just crushing me all the way around. You guys are having a good conversation going on in here in the stream. And that's what these streams are important for, it's good for interaction. It's also good for talking with one another in the comments of the stream itself. I mean, it helps me interact a little bit better with everybody as well and talk about my personal experience and also share things, back and forth. Because sometimes I get asked questions, just random questions like, hey, what'd you do for this? Or, hey, what'd you eat? Or, hey, how'd you get started? And it's just super helpful to get things going, especially when you're doing a live stream, because anything can happen in a live stream. I mean, I could get bombarded by one of my cats like a Kool-Aid man. And I got one of my support cats over here sleeping in this chair. But okay, thank you so much, John, for doing this live stream. I really appreciate you and everything you were doing. Absolutely, Donna. Yeah, you're the one that got this idea. Donna's the one that got this idea going in the first place. I do not mind coming out here and sharing what's going on with anybody, but I do need to get busy and start working on today's video. So I got to get that recording started, and hopefully I'll have that up before Monday, because if you didn't know, last week I was doing 36-hour fasting with a 12-hour eating window, and I got some pretty interesting results from that. So I'll be sharing that hopefully by Monday. So if you're interested in stuff like that, yeah, be sure to subscribe to the channel. I do a lot of fasting experiments. A lot of people on the internet, other YouTube channels, and a lot of the people that are on here, they're like, man, you do some pretty serious fasting. And I do very, very strict fasting. I think I take fasting the most serious. So if I say I'm going to be doing a fast of 36 hours, that's a 36-hour fast. Now, if I say I'm doing a 5-day water fast, I try to stick to that 5 solid days. And I'm just doing water, electrolytes. There you go. That's it. Just water and electrolytes and some vitamins. If I got multivitamins and stuff like that, I feel I need, I'll take those during a 5-day water fast. But I'm super strict about what I'm doing because I'm just trying to show people what can happen. Because like I said, my first one was at the very beginning of my weight loss journey, and that showed some dramatic results. So then after I got through a long period of time, I did another 5-day water fast because I was like, man, so I've been all this way, I've lost all of this weight, and I wanted to see what another 5-day water fast would provide for additional weight loss. Well, that one dropped me 15 pounds when the first one dropped me 30 pounds. So, I mean, that was interesting to see, the difference because, the first one's going to drop off the majority of water weight, and the second one's still going to be focusing on a lot of water weight. It's also going to be kicking out some fat and stuff like that. So water fasting is incredibly important. Now, doing it over week and week and week over week, that's not something I would recommend. Now, when people ask me, how do I get started? I focus specifically on 5 days at a time. So 5 days, however you're going to do it, come up with your plan, execute your plan to the best of your ability for the first 5 days. This takes practice. This takes a routine. So if you have a steady work schedule, let's say Monday through Friday, that's extremely helpful because now you have an already set schedule to work on whatever you're doing. So if you work on whatever you're doing when you're already on a schedule, it helps your mind figure out this is what we're doing until the weekend. And it's important for me to have the weekends to be the weekends. That's where I like to eat whatever kind of food that I want to eat. If I want to go a little off rails, which I rarely do anymore because I find that going off the rails it doesn't help me for the following week. So sometimes I can already mess up the following week's weight loss. That's if I'm planning on losing weight, because not every week in this weight loss journey, I'm planning to lose weight. Some I do, some I don't. Because if I'm priming, for instance, I'm going to gain some weight when I'm priming. So that's perfectly normal, but it's getting me set up for a fasting week. Let's see, who do we got in here? Carnivore Stark. Yes, I want to hear about the 36-hour fasting regime. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm definitely going to be making that video here sometime this weekend and getting that out to everybody. I can't get past 44 hours. And last night I could only do 28. Very frustrating. Well, it is frustrating. Okay, but Carnivore Stork, if you're gonna have a hard time with your fast, now the easiest way to get the majority of effort throughout a 36-hour or 44 or however long the fast is. So if you just have to eat something like sardines or eat something like eggs, I would stick with those two options right there because it's technically breaking your fast, but it's still keeping you in advanced ketosis. Possible autophagy is still going to happen there. You're not creating such a high, it's going to create a little hump in your blood sugar. But if you're not like really screwed up insulin wise, for me, it keeps me in solid ketosis if I absolutely had to have something to eat in that fast. And that just creates the entire, okay, now I completed this window. I can try this fast again at a different time and hopefully get more benefits from the fast and actually make the entire fast, complete. But as a fail safe, if you can't complete it, you just have to have something and you feel like your body's just saying, no, I got to eat something now. Hard-boiled eggs and sardines for the win to keep you in ketosis a lot longer. Let's see. Question. Sometimes I can't sleep. So I get up and have some meat and then sleep like a baby. Anyone else have something similar? Okay, Cordella asked that question there. Now, the sleep issue, what I do to remedy my sleep issue, now sometimes the sleep issue is an anxiety thing as well. Because if we wake up and we just have to feel like we have to get something to eat, sometimes we're overly stressed from the day. Now, if I really want to get better sleep, I'll take electrolytes before bedtime. And you can make your own electrolytes at home, which is some quality salts and some water. I like to add apple cider vinegar and lemon juice and a little bit of potassium to prevent leg cramps. But you can make electrolytes simple. Or if you buy store-bought or, buy like LMNT, for instance, absolutely try that before bedtime. I mean, it works better than, what melatonin or whatever it is. It just works amazing. and it keeps you down for the entire night, and it makes you feel fantastic by the next morning. So yeah, electrolytes in the morning, electrolytes before bed. That'll keep you in a solid sleep state. But I don't wake up anymore in the middle of the night wanting to eat like I used to. And it was a thing for a little while until I got to a certain point. Now I've only been doing this 46 weeks, and it hasn't all been carnivore. So I'm thinking around. I'd have to go back and check to see exactly when I started carnivore, but I think it's been approximately 26 weeks. I started KetoVore, and then everything moved back and forth, on the carnivore spectrum. But I did try to stay, on the carnivore plane. Donna, I says, I have bacon and eggs, and puts me into ketosis and keeps me full for a very long time. Sometimes that's all I eat during the day. Bacon depends on the type of bacon you're eating too, because some bacon will knock me straight out of ketosis. But the fat content and everything inside the bacon does help with my digestion situation. So it does help move things along. If I feel like I'm having an issue, 3 or 4 slices of bacon. It's hard to do 3 or 4 slices. I like to eat a lot of bacon now when I do eat bacon. And I was talking to somebody else that, if I make 3 pounds of bacon, I'm lucky to, after I'm done making the bacon, I'm lucky to have a pound of it left to put in the fridge, because overall you find your special one and you're just going after that, kind of like when you're used to eat a box of Cheez-Its, but now we're changing it up when we're eating bacon bits. And now instead, let's see. Applegate is the brand I use. Applegate. Okay. I don't know. I'm not familiar with Applegate. Now we get most of our bacon here from local sales, which we might have at Car Safeway or Fred Meyer's. We've been doing a lot of shopping at the Costco Business Center now, since we got a new one that opened up here in the Anchorage area. That's been one of my favorite places to go, especially to buy the big 10-pound chub of meat. And I love that, by the way. I made up 10 or 15 burgers the other night for the family, and that was a good night. That was on one of my eating windows, and we had a good time, eating that. And now that I have a meat thermometer, it's even more fun, because I can put the meat thermometer in there, just wait for the alarm to go off. I know they're done. There's no guessing. And when you're cooking on a barbecue, it's really easy to, get them too dark on the outside, and then you don't know what the internal temp is. So it's just without a lot of pressing, and then you're pressing all the good, yummy fats and juices out, which is, counterintuitive to what we actually try to do as carnivores, which is maintain the fat content. That's also why I like to cook my hamburgers in a pan or cast iron skillet with a cover on it. That way it just holds in all the juices, and it's just pushing out some of the water, not all the fat. So it's all cooking into itself. But okay, guys, I want to thank everybody that's joined in with the live stream, kept it entertaining. We're up in here for over an hour, 16 people in the streams. We got 20 likes on the stream. If you haven't already, just smash that like button. It does help us spread the word, of what carnivore is doing for me, my experience with carnivore. Just trying to be helpful out here. I'm not trying to preach, because nobody needs another preacher. We just need people to share what's going on in the best way they can to hopefully help other people maybe find the benefits of maybe a carnivore diet, or at minimum a low carb type way of eating. There's several different ways to skin a cat. Carnivore is just one aspect. I mean, if you figured it out with doing other ways of eating, I promote all of that. I want everybody to be healthy. I want everybody to live a longer, healthier life, and always thank God and pray every single day, because without God and prayer in my life, I wouldn't be to this point. And I'm going to fumble around here, and we're going to stumble out of this live stream, and I need to get busy filming the rest of my content for the weekend, and see what I can come up with and what plan I'm going to be doing for next week. So always subscribe to the channel, share the video if you think it might help somebody. And I appreciate every single one of you. And I'm going to wave bye. Let's see. Cordella says, thanks, John. Carnivore Stork says, thank you. Donna says, later, John. Maria Walker, good morning from North Georgia mountains. I have found your channel so helpful. Just learning and getting ready for a drive into carnivore to help with a couple of health issues I'm having. I appreciate you. I thank you, Maria Walker, for joining the stream. And I apologize. I do have to get going. Vanessa Vanessa Wise says, thanks for the good info. And I do. I pray that, I can share somewhat informative information in an interesting and somewhat entertaining way. I'm not afraid to embarrass myself anymore. I got over that. I don't care if I look cool on camera or look like a fool, because sometimes looking like a fool sells, but I don't try to look like a fool. It's just sometimes it happens, and I just roll with the punches as it goes. It's kind of like random cats just running through here and just knocking everything down. It happens. It's just the part of the way we live. We live a humble life, and I want to thank y'all. And I pray for everybody that's struggling, and I'll be in contact with anybody that likes to reach out, because this is what it's about. Community. Just get along, and hopefully everybody learns something. All right. Take care, guys. Bye from Alaska.